Hi, this is Patty Hodge at Dr. Nurses Rock. Today I have a special guest for you in this special series that I'm doing on grief. And this lovely lady is named Jenny Stanley. She's part of a group of women called the Warrior Moms here in Atlanta, Georgia. And I found her through a professional colleague of mine. And when I called Jenny for the first time, she told me about the book that the group has created, which is called Grieve Like a Mother, Survive Like a Warrior: Stories and Strategies of Healing After Child Loss. So, welcome to you, Jenny, and thank you so
Well,
much
thank
for
you.
being here.
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Um, Jenny, the loss of a child it's unthinkable.
It
And
is.
and yet here you are and you're telling your story. So, would you tell our viewers what happened and what you want us to know about this whole situation?
Sure. So it was August 22nd of 2020, and my oldest son and I went to run errands, and Sydney's friend, we thought was at her friend's house. Sydney, we thought it was at her friend's house. And she'd been there over a while, and I asked Mike, I said, so how about asking Mason, our middle child, to go over and have Sydney come home and her friend can come over and play? Well, they called me back and said she's not there. So, first mom's first reaction is, okay, where'd she go? And then so I said, all right, well, these are the homes she's allowed to go to in the neighborhood. Not that she was allowed to go by herself or without asking permission, but that was the rules. So again, a little bit like, she didn't follow the rules. So they couldn't find her at these homes. So Mike and Mason, I said, well, run right around the neighborhood, see if you see her. And at this point, panic is taken over. My oldest son and I were at Walmart doing grocery shopping, and it panic, just like I said, it just took over. And so on the way home, I said, get in the car, go look around. And on the way home, I received this phone call, and I don't understand a word that's coming from the other end of it. And then it disconnects. So I call her back and I say, hey, it's Jenny. Was somebody looking for me? And it was a neighbor across the street. And he said, yes, Mason called. So he got on the phone and he said, we found her and she's blue. She had what we figured out had happened was she came home from church. There was a craft she didn't finish, and she went to play next door with her friend. We learned later on that her friend was not home. So, as a mom knows her child, I know she went back to the car to try to find that craft and bring it inside and complete it. Well, she didn't know I'd already brought it in the house. So she kept looking for it and looking for it, and the child's system as far as regulating temperatures is not developed.
Mhm.
It is very underdeveloped, and as far as compared to adults. And she passed away. I mean, it was, they say it was 3 to 5 minutes at the longest. And it was August 22nd in the heat of the summer in Augusta, Georgia, which is, we're actually Evans, Georgia, which is, it's really hot there. So she was in the back seat in the floorboard, and I said, call 911. And they're like, okay, they're on the way, they're here. And I remember getting out of the car, and our neighbor across the street said, you need to know that she was very blue. So I walk in the house and I see my husband sitting on the stairs. He's just hugging his knees and saying, it's just too late, it's too late. Then I remember looking to the right in our foyer, and the paramedics were working on her. And they, I just remember screaming, don't stop, please don't stop. So a little bit, what seemed like forever, but probably was just 30 seconds or so, they said, we want to take her to the hospital. So we're like, okay, we're in the car right behind you. So they took her out of the house, and then they came back and said, we're so sorry, there's nothing else we can do. I think it was to get her out of, to take care of her and get her out of the house so that we were, I don't know what would have happened, I don't, so I think that was a wise thing to do. So we went and got an ambulance, and each of us held her hand, and too late.
Yeah.
And I remember looking out the back of the ambulance, And our two boys, there were people consoling them. And I remember thinking, okay, I got to suck this up. My husband and I, we have to suck this up because those boys need us now more than anything. And we've got to, deal with our sorrow, but they've got just as, I don't say just as much, but they had a hard time as well. So, and it's hard to be a mom and grieve one child, but love, not that I didn't love that, but to try to be so present in their life. Um, I think I did okay. I'm not sure. I don't know, but that's a tough set of emotions. You're grieving one child and you're happy and so thankful that you have your other two, but it's a struggle to with those two emotions kind of not fighting each other. I don't know how to put it, but and I'm probably not explaining it very well, but um, you lose you it's just so certainly I love my boys, but I probably miss her just as much.
Well, you're explaining it exceedingly well. And what you're what you're expressing now, even years later, is the intense trauma and the intense grief of this immense loss, and how it really impacted everyone in your
Mhm.
family, and how you as a mom had to move forward, knowing you had children that required your love and attention while you were still in this deep state of emotional distress.
Mhm.
So you have such great courage to tell your story this way, and I'm grateful to you.
I don't, I've said I'll just tell it. I don't know how many times if we can, one child can be saved. Then it's.
Yeah, so talk about that a little bit. You became a little bit of an activist after this.
I did. It was right at a year after she passed away. Decided um, her death's not going to be the end of her story. She's going to live on, and people are going to know about her.
Yes.
So I contacted Kids in Cars, which is a nonprofit organization that helps bring awareness and prevention to hot car deaths, or really any child's death involving a vehicle. So I'm really involved with that. Lots of speaking, lots of TV shows, lots of journals, and on podcasts and responding to different things. So I felt like I needed to get her story out there because at the time, and I think still, it's very rare that a child gets in the car by themselves.
Yes.
You hear stories of children being left in the cars accidentally, and but for a child to get in by herself, it's very unusual. And I just want parents to be aware that yes, it can happen.
Well, it can happen, and it does happen. And
It
and
does.
you're right. People don't think about that. Usually, we do hear stories about children being forgotten in
Hmm.
the backseat of a car, and your Sydney was an adventurous little one,
Yes,
apparently.
she was.
Yeah. Tell us a
She
little more
was.
about Sydney. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, didn't she? Wow, she was a piece of work. Loved her like you couldn't help but love her. She was so happy all the time. But then sometimes there were things that she would do that you just wanted to, oh my goodness. One example is my husband and I had gone out to dinner, and our oldest son was watching her and his younger brother. And so Sydney was misbehaving. So he called my mother to try to talk to Sydney to get her to behave instead of disturbing us when we were out. So Sydney got on the phone and talked to my mom, and mom fussed at her and got on to her, and she hung up on her. Mom she hung up on my mom, and so my mom called back and said, "Let me speak to Sydney." So Logan took the phone into Sydney, and Sydney said, "I'm just going to hang up on her again." And that was we never knew what was coming out of her mouth. We would
Yeah.
almost hold our breath sometimes when you can see the look in her face, and we're like, "Oh boy, here we go." Um, but that was not acceptable. I mean, that she was punished. That was not acceptable. But that's just an example of her personality.
Well, I love her just hearing about her. I can just envision her sweet little self doing that. and still having to bear with the consequences of of
And
that.
she wore pink rainbow boots all year long. That was just another thing. It's like people would say, "Where's your boots?" if she ever was without them. And in the heat of summer, she wore these pink rainbow boots, and of course, we still have them. And it's
Yes,
a good memory.
that's wonderful. So this group that you got involved with, this Warrior
Mhm.
Moms, tell us something a little bit about that.
It is a group of moms who've lost a child, and actually, one or two in the group have lost both two children.
Yes,
And so it first started out or I got involved, and it's a monthly group in which meet at different homes. And it's just, you can't explain to somebody what it's like to lose a child. You
exactly.
just, I've heard it said that there's no words for it because it's so bad they haven't been invented. There's nothing to describe it. So these moms, we get together and we laugh and we cry and it's just somebody that gets it, I guess is it. And it's somebody that you can say, I had a bad day, and they understand. They don't, there's no explaining or there's no questioning. It's like a hug, and I'm so sorry. So it's very, I don't know, therapeutic's a good word. Maybe it is, just to be around somebody that really gets it. And this group of women, we get it. And there's probably in the group, there's probably 25 of us, or so 25 to 30 that attend regularly. Um, and unfortunately, there's new moms pretty much just about every month. And I hate that, but I'm glad we're there for them.
It's really kind of miraculous in my view. It's a blessing to have this kind of support, and
Hmm.
that women in particular seem to be so good at making community around some
Yes.
issue, right? And that connection is something that all of us need, no matter
Hmm.
where we are at any point in life, but particularly after such a traumatic loss.
Hmm.
And so I'm glad that you're willing to share about that and that you came today to talk about that. And we'll leave a link below so that people can
Okay.
be in touch with Warrior Moms. This book that was written, um, tell us about that, how this came,
Okay.
this particular book.
This book. So I guess it was probably about 4 years now, and we were discussing that there's not that we have the resources, but there's so many, as far as the community and the understanding, but there's so many women that didn't. So we said, let's write a book. So we wrote a book. And there was 14 of us in the group that wrote it as well. And there was four moms that wrote just, little bits about their child.
Yes,
And it was hard to do because we had so many edits. We had so many, just going over and over it. But we felt like, and again, I'll just use the phrase again, it's a double-edged sword. We're glad we're here for people, but we hate that we need to be here.
exactly.
And the chapters are organized the same way. Each mom wrote a chapter. So there's 14 mom that actually wrote the actual chapters. So the chapters are laid out that you tell about your child. So they kind of get to know your child a little bit. Then what happened, the accident, or how their death occurred. And then the next part is some strategies, some things that we really felt were helpful to get through it. And then the last part's kind of we try to encourage. We try to, you know, I don't, everybody has their own saying. I don't remember what everybody else wrote, but basically, you can do this. You can do it.
You can.
And, and it's, so every chapter is that way. And, I think it's good. I mean, we've got over 50 5-star reviews on Amazon, and which I understand that's good. I don't
Yeah.
know really in numbers. um, but it's we have a Kindle book, a hardcover, and a soft cover,
Yes.
and then we just finished. Well, it just came out. I guess now it's been a month or so ago. An audiobook, and in the audiobook, each one of us reads our chapter.
Wonderful. I
So
think this
it's,
is such a beautiful thing for people to know exists and to look
hmm
for if they're ever in this situation or just want to understand or support someone who is in
hmm
this situation. And some
right.
of the survival strategies that you mentioned, your own personal
hmm
survival strategies, you're in chapter 9.
Right.
It's called I Wasn't Given a Choice, Warrior Mom Jenny Stanley, in loving memory of Sydney. And you have a sweet little picture of her and you together. Is that
Yeah.
okay with you if I post a picture of
Absolutely. Sure. If you need some more, I've got some.
Sure, send them on over and we'll let people take a look at Sydney and you and whoever else you
And
want. Yes.
the title of my chapter came from so many people would say, I don't know how you do it, and I wasn't given a choice. So that's how the chapter came about is
Yes.
none of us were given this choice.
And and some of the things that you've talked about as far as getting you through this were take care of yourself. Now, this channel
hmm
is all about self-care. So what are some of the things that you would recommend as self-care for people?
Sometimes it's as simple as getting up and taking a bath.
Yes, getting out of
It's
bed.
sometimes those that is a struggle. So you need to almost, I hate this, you almost have to force yourself to do it. You've got to make yourself do it. You've got to take care of yourself. You've got to eat well. You've got to drink water. You need to walk. You need to, and I am not saying these things are easy because they are not, and they weren't for me. But I felt like I had to push myself to do it. And a lot of it, I had two other boys. So I'm not going to say it made it easier, but there was that push to make me do to be present.
Yes.
But it's hard. And that's take care of yourself. Don't, you got to get out of bed and take a shower. You got to cook. You've got to, take short walks, go walk for 5 minutes and then 10 minutes. And because I think getting outside is a wonderful way to just kind of think in your mind or just getting in your own space.
No question. Just being in nature is a healing
hmm
thing in itself. Jenny, I really hope that this message reaches the people that it should reach, who want to know how to recover and thrive and move through this kind of a devastating loss. And I'm so grateful to you. I'm so glad we met. I'm
I
grateful we had
know.
this time together. And I'm going to ask you maybe someday come back and talk with us again
Yeah.
and share more. But for right now, I'm going to say this is in honor of Jenny Stanley and her
hmm
Sydney today. And hopefully we will be posting this on April 19th
Yeah.
because that is her sweet Sydney's birthday.
Perfect. Can I mention something else that we're
Certainly,
doing as
please.
well? So we last year in October, and we're going to do it again this year, we had a retreat for moms. It was 50 moms, went to Eatonton, Georgia to a farm. And it was a wonderful experience. It was a full weekend. And these moms never, I'm not going to say never, but at least 90% had never talked about what happened because they didn't have the resources. They didn't know anybody to talk about it.
Right.
And it was amazing, the moms that were able to talk and to get and some of these moms have started warrior moms groups in other areas. There's in Florida, there's one in South Dakota. They're all over now. They're popping up. So, and we're having a 1-day retreat in April of this year, but we'll have the one next year, or I guess it's this year, next in October.
I
So we
imagine that these
tried to do
events
it.
are, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I imagine these
No,
events are posted on the Warrior Moms website.
they will be. Yes, they will
Okay.
be.
So I will post a link to that as well for people
Yeah,
who are watching this. Maybe sometime in the future, there'll be different events going on.
yeah. That's what we're hoping. We're hoping to take them. I'd love to take them just throughout the U.S. and just have one and hopefully let it grow to the next year. And um, but that is really was a great thing, and that's all we heard is positive and how much it helped them. And we've had moms of the moms. contact us and say, my daughter's never talked about it. And
Wow.
now she's starting a group. Um, so it's,
You're doing such a work of service to the world by doing this. And it is expanding because it's so much needed. So
mhm.
I'm very grateful again. And I know that the people that see this and are touched by it will never forget it. So
Yeah,
I have
just,
I have great thanks to
yeah.
you.
Well, I
And
appreciate your time.
yeah, and thank you for yours. So we'll say goodbye right now, and or we'll
Okay.
say till we meet again.
Sounds great.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.